Welcome back to the Fantasy Waiver Wire. It's your boy Tubby. It's week 2 in the NFL. Week 2. I'm 0-1. Greg's 0-1. Waiver Wire was going crazy this weekend because all the injuries that are out there. We're going to get you straight here today. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but me and Greg are playing each other this week, which makes it even more interesting.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, back for week 2. Drop your stardom, sit-em questions in the chat. And we are back, man. What's going on, Greg?
Well, it goes by so quick. I mean, we're already in week 2. It's one of those things like when football season's around, it just flies by if you're a football fan because, I mean, like I said earlier in the week, I'm like, they gave us football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then they expect us to get by without it on Tuesday and Wednesday. But here we are, Thursday already, and we've got another great 4 days, including college, of football to enjoy. So I'm ready for it, man. Tonight's a great game. If you're a fantasy player, there's some definite options for you. In this game, there's some intriguing options in this game, and I will have my eye on one player in particular on the Miami Dolphins. We know that Mostert is out. Achane looks like he's not going to suit up. So we have 2 running backs entered into the picture. We have Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jalen Wright, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Jalen Warren. Right. Let me see. Hold on.
I can bring them up too.
Right, Jalen Wright. I get a mix of from Pittsburgh. So Jalen Wright is a speedster back. He's similar to Achane. And if you look at my team, you have the choice. They had the choice between Wilson and Jalen Wright.
Where you at? Let's see.
He's on my bench right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I drafted him initially because I liked what he showed in preseason. He's a rookie out of Tennessee, very, very big speedster back. And there were rumors that if anything happened to Achane or Mostert, that this guy could shine. So I picked him up. And then, when the waiver wire hit, I kind of backed off of him a little bit and kind of dropped him. But then I immediately regretted it when I saw that Achane and Mostert weren't going to suit up. So you had a choice here of Wilson or Wright. But let's be honest, Wilson, like I said, may get the start, but we've seen that dance before with Jeff Wilson Jr.
Right.
If you've had Jeff Wilson, I think everybody at one point in their life has had Jeff Wilson Jr. on their fantasy team. It's one of those things where he's always this perennial backup.
Right.
And he was in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken. He doesn't do anything for you. If Jalen Wright plays in this game at all, I think he's got a chance to shine. Now, am I willing to bench Jahmyr Gibbs and Breece Hall for Jalen Wright tonight, or even one of my flex spots? No. So I'm not going to take that risk. He could go off, but I tell you what, that's why I'm going to watch him with a very close eye, see what Wright does in this game, and see if he's worth a start going forward. I think if like say Achane and Mostert missed time last year, if he gets any shot, he may steal the spotlight. So just something if he's out there on your waiver wire right now and you have a choice between Jeff Wilson or Jalen Wright, I would take Jalen Wright and lock him down as a stash and see what happens in the next few weeks. Cause he could be in that Xavier Worthy conversation where he showed out in the Chiefs game where everybody's now scrambling to get Jalen Wright after tonight. Not saying it's a guarantee. I'm just saying, watch the game. And if you have a room on your bench, maybe pick him up and then see what happens.
Did you watch him at Tennessee? I'm not familiar with it.
I don't watch too much SEC. I watch a lot of Big Ten, but SEC, Tennessee had some really good games last year. So yes. And he's like I said, you look at his stats, 5'10", 210. He's a low to the ground, a speedster like Achane, very similar. So he's got the potential for breakout plays. And you look, he's 48% rostered now. I think he was maybe 20% at the start of the week until those news come out about the injury. So going into tonight's game, there's other stories too. Well, we know that besides the injuries to the Dolphins running backs. We've got the whole Tyreek Hill situation that's blown up, happened last week. It didn't affect him last week. I don't expect it to affect him that much this week. So you're looking at fantasy wise, man, there's a lot of fantasy plays and players that's going to be going tonight. What are your thoughts on we know how good the Dolphins receivers are. So if you've got Waddle, you got Hill, you're going to start them. Other than that, maybe not so much. But what about the Bills receivers? How do you feel about them coming in this game as fantasy options?
I have one. It's funny you ask because I have one. I have Keon Coleman, and man, I was really on the fence starting him tonight. You want to know my number one reason? Man, I don't know why I've been having. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. My number one reason for wanting to start Keon Coleman is that he's a rookie. He's young, man. This little back-to-back, this little 4 days, 21, he can get right back out there and play, no problem. And I was like, man, on a short week, could he be somebody that shines? The jury's still out on him, but I don't know, man. I don't know. In the shootout, it's almost like I should play. If I'm being honest, I should play. Right. It's probably going to be a shootout tonight. I did see a little weather in that game. Let me look at Josh Allen again real quick. Give me a second.
Josh Allen right now on most boards is QB1.
Yeah.
As a fantasy play, which is very interesting because again, he's got Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir at wide receiver, and Keon Coleman. And those numbers, other than I like Keon Coleman a lot, other those numbers don't scream fantasy superstars yet.
Yeah. So in our league, it even shows, this is pretty cool. On the overview of tonight's game, it actually shows who has each player in our league. So like you said, it's a lot of key players going into tonight. So you have Tua, Tighten Up has Tua. I have Josh Allen going into tonight. So he does have a hurt hand, but we'll see how that plays out, man. It's not his throwing hand. So hopefully you put like a little mitt on it or something to protect it. But they're going to need him because this very well could be a shootout. James Cook had a really good week last week.
Yeah.
Really solid, man. Then you got Achane, who's not playing tonight. Jeff Wilson, who's not playing tonight. And
Jeff Wilson's going to play.
My bad. Jeff Wilson is playing.
And Achane is limpy. I don't know if he was a game time decision. I think the last time I saw. So it looked like it's going to be Wright and Wilson getting the ball. Mostert's definitely not starting. So that's a big factor for them. Right. But they missed time last year. So
yeah. Then you have Wright.
Yeah.
And, got your boy here, Keon Coleman. Man, I mean, he's projected to get 15 points. I mean, how can I just poo-poo that? Especially with the receiver. I'm probably going to talk myself into starting him by the end of this podcast. Yeah, man. And then you have, like you said, Waddle, Hill. Yeah. They're going to get theirs. Projected to get at least 20 and 31. Man. But now I feel, they're really still on the fence about everything, man. When it comes to the Bills receivers, I have no confidence in them yet, or I'll be starting them myself. But man, they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I may talk myself into it by the end of this.
This is going to be a telling week and a telling game because all eyes are going to be on the Bills receivers. So we're going to know tonight. During the Arizona game, I didn't get to watch too much of it. Just had it when we were, in B-dubs watching on the multi-screens and seeing what I can. I did see that Murray looked like he was doing really well and Bills ended up coming back. But they've got 3 wide receivers that somebody's got to make a splash. Looking at the rankings, you got Shakir is ranked 40th right now on all wide receivers on the board for week 2 and Coleman 45. So, I mean, somebody's going to be catching these passes. And I don't think Curtis Samuel's even in the top 40. So those are the 2 highest Bills receivers. So if you've got either Shakir or Coleman, somebody's going to be catching those balls. I'm not a big Samuel fan. He's never, he's been that just okay. He's been around a long time, never been a crazy standout. So I definitely would be looking at Coleman or Shakir if I was going to play a Bills wide receiver. Probably Coleman. I have him in my other league, and now I'm sitting here going, should I start him in the other league? Because my wide receivers in my other league are really good. I've got right now I have to go into my flex spot where I've got Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the only one I'd be able to bench him because I've got Nico Collins and AJ Brown. I ain't benching those guys.
Right.
So I would have to bench Pickens at my flex, and it's like, do I bench Pickens? I don't think I can do that.
You see old Matt Hollins, a Mac.
Yes.
Yeah, he caught a touchy. He caught a little tutty.
Yeah, he's
last week.
Yeah, he's been around. He's been around since he left the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
Went over to Vegas. Yeah, and then he did good in Vegas for a while, but he's definitely a journeyman. Mm-hmm. But he's still got a job. 7 years in the league. He still can catch the ball.
Out of North Carolina. So
yeah, I think that out of all the Bills receivers, I think really the only one worth a look is Coleman right now. But Matt Collins is going to be touchdown dependent, and Shakir could be a good possession receiver. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
So, talked about tonight's game.
Yes.
Richardson. So, going into our week, we might as well talk about our game. Man.
All right, let's do it.
There's nobody in here asking any questions. Might as well talk about our game and see where that takes us, man. So, we already talked about Allen. Yes. How you feel about your boy Richardson going up against Green Bay?
Well, right now he's the 5th ranked quarterback for week 2 behind Allen. So, that's a good thing. What I like about the matchup is if Jordan Love had been playing, it would probably be harder on Richardson. I think with Malik Willis in there, what it does is if they can get him off the field and shake him up, I mean, he's going to have a week of practice, but again, it's not Jordan Love out there. So I think that's going to give the offense of the Colts more time on the field. They're going to be able to get Green Bay off the field. And so that's going to get more reps for Richardson, which should help him in fantasy. You know, he had the 2 deep bombs, the 60-yarder and the 54-yarder. And I think that sparked a lot of the points that he got. But he also did really well running the ball. And I think you're going to see that same combo again against Green Bay. Green Bay plays really well up front. They did so against the Eagles. If you watch how their defense played the Eagles, they play up toward the ball. And I think that kind of plays into Richardson's hands because that leaves him susceptible to the deep ball. And so I think that if they don't prepare for that and then have some safeties back, it could be a good day for Richardson. I don't feel bad about it. The only thing I feel bad about is I have Justin Herbert as my backup, and he's playing Carolina.
Oh man, that's a hard sit.
Yeah, and so Carr lit them up. But the problem for me is knowing Jim Harbaugh the way I do, being a Michigan fan, I don't see how he's going to let Herbert throw a ton of balls against Carolina or at all this season. I think Herbert's numbers, his volume, passing numbers are just going to come down. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just going to be more of a balanced offense. So you're going to see more Dobbins. I think that Carolina game is going to be big for Dobbins. And it's just, that's the way it's going to be this year. So even though they're playing Carolina, Herbert could still get 30, 35. So it's like, you know, what do you do in that situation? I'm going to roll.
Man, this is, I mean, he's obviously, look, 28% start. So, yeah. I mean, he didn't play a lot last. He had that finger injury towards the end. And I think because they weren't going to make the playoffs or something like that, I think they shut him down. I think that was the case for last week. But, yeah, man, you know, Herbert's one of those guys, man, he has all the intangibles, you know, so it's like you expect a lot from him. And I still expect a lot from Herbert, man. I mean, he's a lot different than like a McCarthy. I think McCarthy was limited. Like, so I don't know. I think Herbert's a way better passer than McCarthy. I think, you know, they have the receivers, and I know when he gets quarterbacks, like who did he have before and went to the Super Bowl with the 49ers? Hardball. Who did they have?
Are you talking? Well, in Stafford, he had Luck, and then he had in San Francisco, he had our boy when they went to the Super Bowl.
Right. Which was it? Was it Smith? No, not Smith.
Alex Smith.
Was it Alex Smith?
Yeah, it could have been
when they lost to
Baltimore.
No, Mahomes.
Oh,
no, that was
yeah.
Oh no, that was Shanahan with
that was Shanahan.
I'm getting caught up. No, I thought he went to the Super Bowl with the Niners.
Well, Harbaugh did, but he had Kaepernick back then.
Oh, it was Colin Kaepernick was his quarterback.
Yeah.
I always thought he had Alex Smith.
I think he did at one point before.
Oh, they were
he
both
left
there. That's right.
Yeah.
Man, it was so long ago. It's like
time, but yeah,
anyway.
Colin Kaepernick was the starter for that Super Bowl against the Ravens. That's the one I thought you were talking about.
The Ravens. I was at my brother's house. He was still in the basic school down in I was stationed in North Carolina, and he was there. I remember when the lights went out.
Yes.
That was that. Oh, yeah, I was at my brother's house.
I was at Lodges watching that in the club, and the power went out. There, and we ended up not getting out of there until like 5 a.m. because it delayed the game, and we were already like 4 hours ahead. So yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, so the thing about Harbaugh, I will say this: I know that a lot of people say that McCarthy wasn't that great a passer. You didn't watch McCarthy the way I watched McCarthy. I saw a lot of Michigan quarterbacks coming in and out of that. The man could hit people on a dime. The problem with McCarthy wasn't people are like, oh, he wasn't a great quarterback. Look at his numbers. He didn't throw for a lot because they had Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. So Harbaugh's philosophy has always been, get me a quarterback that can pass in a controlled passing game. I'm going to play great defense, and I'm going to run the ball down your throat. And I think that's what he's going to bring to the Chargers. Now, he's got a great quarterback in Herbert to do it, but I think that you will not see Harbaugh play the air it out game ever. It just won't happen. So if what Herbert's going to get, even against weak defenses, is going to be this intermediate passing game and an occasional 20 or 30-yard big play, it's just the way I see it, knowing Harbaugh's coaching style. Now, I could be wrong, and they go because it's Carolina, and they just throw an ass whipping on him like Carr did, but I don't know. It's what's keeping me from starting him this week until I see more of what that offense is going to be. I think with Dobbins back there, they showed that they're going to be a grounded out team.
So his average throws must be like under 10 yards or something, because you have 26 attempts.
Yeah.
17 completions.
Yeah.
Must be for 144. I don't really know who are even his receivers. McCockley. Is he from Georgia? Is that McCockley from Georgia?
Yeah. Yep. And I picked up the tight end.
Hayden Hurst.
No. I can't think of it. Parkinson. Cody Parkinson. Scroll down. It's probably in there for the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm on Chargers.
Listed as his Charger. No, I'm sorry. That's Rams. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad. I get the LA teams mixed up. That's the Rams.
It
is Hayden Hurst is his tight end. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked him up too in my other league. Parkinson. We have a question. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was saying Quentin Johnson's not bad. Joshua Palmer's not bad, but they're not Mike Williams and Keenan Allen like Herbert did have in previous years. So it makes a big start.
You want to take this question? I'll bring up the names.
All right. PPR start one, Ladd, McConkey, Jameson Williams, Ayuk, or Pickens. Well, out of those, I think that I know Ayuk had a rough game, but I think that you're probably your best as far as stat line goes, as far as wide receivers. I have Jameson Williams on both my teams, and I'm starting both of him in flex, just because of the fact that game showed a lot, that first game for Detroit, that their teams are going to try to double Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's going to make a big impact on Jameson Williams being able to get open and getting a lot of targets. Because Goff's going to go to the open man. He's not going to force anything to Amon-Ra just because he's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And that showed in that game, that Sunday night game with Detroit. So I like Jameson Williams and what he brings to the table. He had a great first game against the Rams. But I think that it's too late to push the panic button on Ayuk. I think that it was disappointing. I have Ayuk, and I was very disappointed because it cost me the win. I lost by 0.7, but I'm not going to get mad because he hadn't practiced at all. He held out, and he's got to get back in the rhythm of things. You look at who they're playing this week is a big factor. So I think that he's got a really good matchup. So I don't know. What do you think?
For right now, I'm going Jameson. I'm going Williams. I like the week he had last week. 9 targets. With Amon-Ra on the field, that's saying something. That means they've worked a lot in the offseason. They've been waiting for like this moment for him. Yeah. Are you looking for like a flex with this, McCockley? Yeah. I mean, we just talked about the Chargers' offense, and just Greg knows better than me. He's not expecting really high volume.
The thing that is, as far as matchups go, they're playing the worst team in the league in Carolina. Right. So if this is going to be a big game for McConkey, this is probably going to be it. So I like Ayuk's matchup against Minnesota. Yeah, Minnesota had a great game against the Giants, but again, it's the Giants. I don't expect that to. I think that is the indicative of how good Minnesota played in that game. Mm-hmm. I think that the Niners defense is going to destroy Minnesota. And I think that Ayuk's going to get a lot of time on the field. I think he's going to play better. I don't think Greg Jennings out-catches him this time. So talent-wise, Ayuk, if you're willing to take a chance, then Jameson Williams has got you.
Yeah, I'm going with Williams. But you make a good point. You make a good point here with old lad. That's a really good point, man. That they are going up against Carolina, and it seemed like Card did whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
They just scored really efficiently and got off the field. Says I have James Conner at flex. Should I swap him out and play 2 for my receivers? Or play 2 of the receivers. I like what Conner's doing right now. I thought Conner had a really good game. He looked way better than Trey Benson. 16 attempts, Tubby, 3 catches, 22 yards in our league. We do get points for first downs, rushing and receiving in our league, just FYI. Anybody out there like, well, how do you get that much? That's how he got that much. George Pickens against Denver. He's probably going to be up against Patrick Surtain II, more than likely. And you see how that worked out for Debo. Not Debo, excuse me. I have him on my team. What's his name? Out of Ole Miss, Seattle. Big.
Oh, about DK.
DK. See how that worked out for DK last week.
Yeah.
And just I don't really know what Fields is going to do. Fields not a high volume thrower. He's going to mix it up. He's going to kind of take he's kind of random. Fields is too random to depend on right now. So I'm out on Pickens. How about this? I'll narrow it down. I'm out on Pickens because of Fields. I'm keeping Conner in if we're looking for 2 spots. Ayuk, just not really high on him right now. But with Christian McCaffrey not playing, I think Ayuk is up there for some touches, man. I mean, just that one drop. I mean, that was a tough catch. It's not like he hit a sitter. Yeah. I mean, it was still a dive at full speed to bring it in. It's still a tough catch.
Yeah.
You just know he should make the catch. It could be, both things could be true. But if I had to choose, I'm going with these 2 for the weekend, Williams and Conner.
Well, that's perfect. I would say Williams or Ayuk and Conner. I would definitely agree with you on the Conner thing. Conner should have a good week. So I like Ayuk. He's ranked 20 at wide receiver for this week because of the matchup. And he's way ahead of those other guys. Pickens is 32. Jameson Williams ranked 33 just on the fantasy boards out there. So,
let's see here.
We were talking about this. Would you risk Jalen Wright tonight? I have him in both my leagues, and I'm thinking about it right now. So I really think that he has the potential to have a phenomenal game on the ground tonight if given the opportunity. The question is how much do they play Jeff Wilson Jr. tonight? And does that screw everything up? I know that Wright's going to get his touches. So it's like he's suited up. He's going to get some touches. So that's a big difference. Now, I think the second part of your question, Madison Jacobs, you have to look at what's going on in Green Bay. They are starting Malik Willis over Jordan Love. So that definitely affects how many carries Josh Jacobs is going to get. And I think that he's going to get more carries than he would if Jordan Love was in there slinging the ball. So I think that makes it a little harder decision. So that I don't know about you, but I would kind of lean a little bit more toward Jacobs. But of course, they also got the other backup running back that ran all over the Eagles last week too, that could have a big game. That was kind of surprising to me because the Eagles kind of held Jacobs in check. But I don't know if the Colts are going to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah. For me, I asked earlier, like, what type of back is Jalen Wright? Is he a primary passer? Is he a primary, is he a catcher? Is he a runner?
Yeah.
The key here for me is non-PPR. If we're going non-PPR, now I'm looking at attempts per carry, right? I'm looking at attempts. So we look at Madsen on the ground, 5. If you're going PPR, then Madsen's better, but 5 attempts last week. This is in a loss. 5 attempts last week. So Josh Jacobs is RB1 for the squad. I'm definitely just because it's non-PPR alone, I have to go Josh Jacobs here.
I didn't even address Madison because, like we talked about on Tuesday, Madison, when we were addressing the waiver wire, Madison had that one big play or a couple of big plays,
big screen pass, jump over 2 people.
Yeah, so there's a lot of flash right there, but there's no fire. So I'm not quite sure on him. I'm not even sure that he's going to unseat Zamir White at this point. It's not been determined. So that's actually risky as far as Madison. I would kind of wait on that one. But out of the 3, Wright has the potential because he's like a back like Achane where he could get 1 carry and you've got a 50-yard touchdown easy with his speed. That could really happen tonight. I really see it. But if you want dependable, less risk, and you're going to get a lot of carries in a non-PPR, I think Josh Jacobs, because and a lot of this is because Jordan Love's not going to be in the game.
Absolutely. Non-PPR was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
We're talking PPR, but is Willis a dump off type of quarterback? You got to know the quarterback too, man. All of those things. No problem, Benjamin. Thanks for stopping by. Go ahead and sub up. I need to get one of those little bubbles that pop
bubbles
up.
that say, like and subscribe.
Every once in a while, especially when we got folks in here. If I don't remember to, and if you like that advice, go ahead and give us a follow on whatever platform. This is coming from YouTube, so we're getting some love over there on YouTube right now. That's what's up, man. Yeah, man, definitely going Josh Jacobs here. No doubt about it. So while we're looking at the Raiders, what do you expect? And I have Zamir White, right?
Yeah.
Man, but I'm so scared to play him. Like, I have no confidence in the Raiders at all, man. I think when you have a quarterback like Gardner Minshew, man, Minshew gonna get you about 10 to 20 points a game, and you guys got to hope you play some defense for him. It's not going to be 400 yards, blow him out the water. It's going to be some defenses there. So it's like, at what point, he can get you a 500 season, just kind of mosey all year. Just, you're not going to be too high, not going to be too low. So I just really struggle with even playing a White, man. I really do.
I definitely wouldn't play him this week against Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely wouldn't even look at either one, White or Madison. As far as the week after, you got Carolina on the schedule. True. I would hang on to him and see if he busts out for that game. I'm not willing to disregard Zamir White. I mean, call me biased, but I'm not a big Madison fan. So it's like,
me either.
I've seen him before. I've seen what he has to give. And I think that he's hit his ceiling. Whereas Zamir White, he's got potential. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't show it, that first game. I mean, it just was a weird game for the Raiders overall because, they're a very disjointed team. But here's the thing about the Raiders. They're really good defensively. So I think you're going to see them get opportunities. And I think Zamir White, eventually will capitalize. But it may not be a fantastic season, but it may be a good stopgap depending on matchup dependent type running back. What was that other question?
Oh, it was just seemed like more of a statement.
Yeah, I mean, you got Madison going up against Baltimore, so take that for what you will. And Bucky Irving, I was just looking at him too because you
just dropped him today.
I picked him up and dropped him for Jalen Wright. It was the matter of I don't have a lot of room on my bench. If you look at who I've got, I've got nobody I can really drop, so that I feel comfortable dropping.
I like that about our league this year. I was like, man, only 5 bench players.
Yeah, wow. And so that really it sucks. So, but they're at Detroit, and that's not a great matchup for Bucky Irving. So both of them, both Madison and Irving have kind of weak matchups. So I know that Jacobs didn't train, and they may end up getting really a 50-50 split at the running back position. So that is a risk, but I don't like the matchups for Madison and Bucky. Although, like I said, I did pick up Bucky. That was my initial waiver wire pick this week, and then when I saw that that we looked at Mostert and Achane both being hurt, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta pick right back up because I drafted him just for that reason, just because I saw something in him. I think if he gets a chance to shine, I think that he's gonna stick himself in the lineup. And you're not gonna be able to put him on the bench.
Yeah, man. So you're welcome. You're welcome, man. Voca 35. So I dropped Blake Corum for Bucky. I hope I don't regret this.
Same. I dropped Corum for Bucky, and then I dropped Bucky for Wright, and that's all I really had to sort it out. Blake didn't even touch the ball week 1, so I think that we have to wait to see what they're going to do with him, because you got Kyron that he's sitting behind until they start splitting carries with Kyron and that platoon. He didn't get a single carry, dude. His stat line is 0.
I wouldn't worry about a guy that didn't even get a single touch in a very close game while being healthy. Bucky, on the other hand, actually got some work in. I mean,
yes, he did, and he had a good game. Yeah,
Bucky burned some calories this weekend. 9 attempts, 62 yards.
Yeah, he outcarried
3 targets, 2 catches. Man,
he outrushed White, and so that's where the buzz is that is he going to supersede White in that offense, and it's very likely.
Yeah.
And so that's huge. If you've got Tampa Bay, who's got Baker Mayfield, they've got a dynamic offense. We saw that week 1.
Yeah.
And it's like, if he's the number one guy, if Bucky is. But I really think we're going to see a bit of both. I think you're going to see this going forward. You're going to see Rashad, and you're going to see Bucky going back and forth. So this is maybe what you get out of Bucky, 11 to 17 points a week, which isn't bad. But we're in fantasy, we're always looking for the big money.
Yeah.
We're always looking for the 30-point guy.
100%.
Where is he?
100%. We want championships over here. We want championships.
So I would, as far as Corum, I'm in the same boat, dude. We have 5 bench players. I dropped him for Bucky, dropped Bucky for Wright, and I hope I don't regret either one. I'm just going to keep my eye on both and see if I need to go back the other way. I'm really looking forward to tonight's game, and that's the reason I picked up right now. Is because it's Thursday Night Football. And I didn't want Wright to be sitting out there on waivers and have a monster game, a la Worthy or something like that, where he just shows off this speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody and his mother's coming for him tomorrow. I'm like, no, I'm going to get him now before the game. And that's why I dropped Irving. Anybody else could have Irving if they want, but you're going to take that risk as far as picking up Irving and putting him into your lineup right now. Go for it.
Yeah, man. I, still one of the things I'm kind of, I had to drop Caleb Williams in our league just because the bench, I was like, I can't, you have Herbert, so I understand why you're carrying Herbert, but I can't carry when I have Josh Allen, who I'm going to start unless he's injured. There's no real reason for me to, I feel like he's matchup proof. Like he can have a good or bad no matter what with Allen. So I had to drop him. I was like, there's no need carrying Caleb Williams and then
I don't think anybody's jumping to grab Kalen Williams after that week 1 performance.
Right.
So it's
right. And that was another reason too. It's like, there's no need to hold on to him. Why don't you pick up some people that may help you? So see with Tyler Johnson, I'm talking about my pickups this week.
Yeah.
So I had the 3rd spot. So if you look over here, I had the 3rd spot, 3rd waiver. And I had Isaiah Likely first, right? Here's what I'm salty about. I'm so salty about, right? I had Isaiah Likely at the top of my list. Then I swapped it for Tyler Johnson. Nobody even put in a claim for Tyler Johnson.
You could have had both.
Could have had both without even trying. I got off of Lazard right at the end. I was like, you know what? We've seen this show a little bit before with Lazard. I've picked him up so many times after a good week and an injury, and then crickets, and then he'll spot here or there. But I was so salty about how this played out. I'm like, I should, because he has Andrews, which is going to put him in the pickle now. I wouldn't want Likely and Andrews, because then either you're going to play both. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Lamar loves his tight ends, but like Lamar isn't going to. You expect him to complete. He ran the ball 16 times last week, Are you expecting what, 9? You expect 9 and 10 receptions out of Likely and Andrews? That's It's unlikely. But but yeah, man, I was so salty. I thought you would get a kick out of that. How nobody even put in a waiver claim and I swapped them. Oh, that sucked, man.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Likely, of course, was going to be the number one target. Like I went and got Colby Parkinson because Ferguson is hurt, and I can't drop Ferguson. I don't want to drop Ferguson because I think he'll have a good year with Dak. He was solid last year. He was big for them. So it was like, but right now I needed a solid backup, and Parkinson had a decent game. So it was like, let me pick him up.
Man.
Yeah,
you want to know why I'm not playing Keon Coleman tonight? You should thank me for this. You should thank me. Why because I'm trying to take a sacrifice for the Eagles. I said, if I play Drake London, if I play Drake London, maybe he won't have a good game because none of my receivers tend to have a good game. But I can take Keon Coleman having a good night tonight and not playing him.
Yeah.
But I cannot have a good time benching Drake London and then he put up 3 tutties on my Eagles. That's too much. That's too much. I have to get something out of it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you're hearing me. I don't think you're hearing me. I need something. Can you imagine sitting a dude and he is Randy Moss in your squad?
And I tell you what,
sir.
I like the Eagles corners quite a lot, especially if Rodgers plays in this game, and he might. So you got Rodgers, you got Q that's going to be out there, and then you got Slay. Even if Maddox plays just a little bit, I like our corners, but I'm not a big fan of Fangio's defensive style. So that soft zone makes your corner stand flat-footed, while the receivers just sit down in the zones and be out. So it is quite possible that Kirk Cousins has a great game. I said it the week everybody made these knee-jerk things after week 1. And one thing I noticed last week, because we do a picks game and we pick against the spread. One thing I noticed the first 5-6 weeks of the season, at least 50 or 60% of the time, the team that won week 1 lost in week 2. How many teams go 2-0? I mean, it's not every team in the league. Every team that won last week's not going to win again. And so,
except for those Eagles. But go on.
Well, there will be some. But the thing is I noticed because I was picking against the spread and I started looking at trends, and it was like this: you win 1 week, you lose 1 week. You win 1 week, you lose 1 week, because it's this up and down thing we have in the NFL. Teams prepare a little bit differently, especially if you're coming off a win. You play a little bit differently. So I expect the Falcons, if you think the Falcons are going to lay down like they did against Pittsburgh, coming into Philadelphia, being 0-1, do you think the Falcons want to go 0-2 with Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Kirk Cousins, and the delusions of grandeur they had at the beginning of the season? They're not going to want, that's going to be a fighting team. And when Kirk has a good game against the Eagles and people start ragging on the Eagles defense, I'm like, dude, it's week 2. Calm down.
Yeah. One thing we can do is we can beat Kirk Cousins. That's one thing the Eagles have proven that they can do. I mean, when he was at Washington, he used to have us. But my thing is this: if the Eagles somehow in some crazy world lose to the Falcons, I don't think it'll be because of the passing game. I don't, man. Unless Michael Penix comes in. If you look at Kirk Cousins last week, man, this is not even my. This is just looking at him.
I agree.
He cannot move.
Right.
Like, this isn't about whether Kirk Cousins can read a defense. This isn't about whether Kirk Cousins has the arm strength. This isn't about any of those things. This is about, does he even trust his own body to compete against one of the best teams in the league? And I tell you what, man, a lot of people are looking out for where Huff is, and best believe he gonna show you where he's. I think he's going to tee off this week. I think this is horrible to put Kirk Cousins back there behind this line. It's going to take one Jalen Carter push and fall, and then Penix is on. And then that's when you need to start worrying. Kirk Cousins is not healthy. I
Right.
think the Falcons is playing him because they paid him that much money, that guaranteed money, about $100 million guaranteed, and he can't even move. Here is the two things that happened last week, and people are like, it's going under the radar. One, the Falcons should not have lost to that Steelers. I don't care how good of a team Mike Tomlin is. TJ Watt was doing this thing. Don't get me wrong. They still should have not have lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers with 5 field goals. Like, you telling me Kirk Cousins can't beat a team that can't even produce a touchdown against him? That's unacceptable. And it was the same thing that came with, I know Gerard Mayo gets a lot of props, but same thing with Cincinnati, and you hear everything really quiet when it comes to like what's going on with Burrow. That's been everything this week, is because, like, look, man, nobody's completely, down in Burrow, but to put up 10 points on New England with a team that's expected to go to the Super Bowl, that's just completely unacceptable. Like, it's just crazy how, that it's just crazy, man. They didn't even score until the fourth quarter. Like, that's just, I don't care how good Mayo is. This is his debut. This is a rookie head coach going into Cincinnati on a team that was looked at to go deep into the playoffs. They look to go deep into the playoffs every year, and they put up 10 points, and it's just like, well, we don't really know what's going on. Got to figure something out, man. I seen a stat this week, and then I'm going to let you go. It said that Joe Burrow has had the average yard of passing. It's the same as Bryce Young and Josh Downs. Those are the only two people that have lower. Like Joe Burrow is really doing nothing right now. And it's just kind of like, you don't have that Mixon in the backfield. Chase Brown doesn't look good. Whoa. They better stop playing with his receivers, is all I'm saying. and get these boys on track, man, because they have a good team and they should win this week. You can't just accept a slow start. That's why I made that comment. Well, you can't play in Philly. You can't just tell me it's okay to go 0-3 every year. You can't do that in Philly. Oh, it's just week 1. We'll wait until week 4 until we win. You can't do that in Philly.
Right.
So why is this bar so low, man? You got to beat New England. And no way the Falcons Kirk Cousins can get talked about so highly in one breath and then lose to the Steelers and Justin Fields in the same breath. So it's just crazy, man.
Well,
I think they're going to need Penix on Monday night.
Well, we'll see about that. I think, injuries heal, and he didn't look good. We don't know exactly how he's going to play against. It's Monday night. He's got more time to heal, more time to practice. And I'm not like waving the flag for Kirk Cousins. What I'm saying is no team wants to go 0-2. They're going to play better, whether that's more Bijan Robinson, whether that's more Kyle Pitts or Drake London getting involved in the game. I'm not saying that that's going to lead to a victory for them, but I'm just saying they're going to fight a little bit harder. And I love Huff and I love Jalen Carter, but I think that TJ Watt is a different beast.
For sure.
And that's who was taking Kirk out on Sunday. They have 15-10. Yeah, the Steelers put up next to nothing offensively, and their defense is what won the game. And the Eagles have the potential to put up a lot of points on Atlanta and be able to shut them out, but it all depends on how that defense plays. We never know with Vic Fangio how it's going to be. So if I have, going back to tying it into fantasy, if I have London, like you said right here, I would probably play him for that fact alone that he's going up against a soft zone defense, which could benefit him. If he doesn't perform this week, then I'm really worried about him going forward until, like you said, until Penix comes in. If I have Drake London,
he's not healthy, man. He's just.
I agree. I agree.
Absolute.
He did not look good. I will agree. He looked horrible week 1.
Absolute.
As far as the Bengals go, it doesn't get easier for them. They go into Kansas City, and the odds of them winning. And like you said, I've been saying it to everybody. I live here in Ohio, and I talked to all the Bengals fans, and I said that was the biggest mistake, letting Mixon go and thinking you could replace him with Zach Moss, that you could replace him with a backup running back from the Colts that's just a possession receiver out of the backfield, and then a second-year running back in Chase Brown. That's a folly right there. That's the thing, is like, you've got to have, you can disrespect the running back position, but if you're going to be a championship team, you have to have somebody in that backfield that can take the heat off your quarterback. And Mixon did that. Mixon was one of those guys, like, yeah, he wasn't going to torch every single game, but man, when he touched the football, the defense had to acknowledge him to the point where it could take a little bit of heat off of Burrow and give him more time to throw downfield. Not having T. Higgins in that game was definitely hard too for Burrow as well.
Right.
You've got Chase. He's got his contract. Let's go. Or next, Chase doesn't have his contract yet. Sorry. so he's not.
That was part of the point. I said you better stop messing around and pay his quarterbacks.
Yeah, you said that. That's right.
Yeah. So but when you're the highest paid quarterback in the league, don't nobody care. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, rent is due. the rent's due, man. And these quarterbacks are getting paid more and more every day. You know, it's crazy. Just last year, people were saying, man, Jalen Hurts is the highest paid quarterback in the league. You know, it's and now he's the 9th highest paid quarterback in the league. And now I think he's paid, we getting him for cheap. I'm telling you, man, to have a young leader. You know, one thing, Mixon, chemistry. Mm-hmm. All of those things matter, man. You can't just, one of the, I ain't trying to go on another tangent, but one of the things, the problem with Chelsea right now is that they just play all these players, but there's no chemistry with it. You got to build chemistry. Yeah. It doesn't matter how skilled some of these people are. You need the chemistry to go with it. So I think that's the biggest miss with Mixon there is that, man, you keep bringing these guys back until something happens where it just doesn't work anymore. But
look at what Mixon did week 1 with the Houston.
Oh yeah,
we're going to see more of that.
I'm sure Stroud loves to have, and because Mixon will block as well too. Yeah,
and you've got those great wide receivers, but you've always got to know where Mixon is at all times, right. And that affects Stroud's ability to get the ball to those 3 great receivers and a good tight end. So, yeah, losing Mixon is huge for the Bengals, and tied it back to fantasy. If I'm a Burrow owner or a Chase owner, I am definitely worried about their capability because they're staring 0-2 in the face. And if you look at that division, the North, it could very well be they could be the 3rd team in that division if the Steelers continue to play dominant defense.
So who are these? Here's the crazy part. So you have Burrow. You have let's just call it. Where's he at? Let's just call it Justin Fields for now. We have Lamar.
Well, I think Russ will get in the game. I mean, if he doesn't play this week, he will.
And who's else in that? What team am I missing?
Are you talking about the North? You're talking about Deshaun Watson. If you're talking about North, yeah.
Oh, Watson.
Yeah. I don't know if the Cleveland can come out of the cellar.
Here is it seems like how the Bengals may get away with it. Baltimore is always going to be up there. That's always going to be a thing. I think they're going to be fighting for the North. Cleveland, who do they even have as a backup? DTR, he had a good preseason, but he never showed anything in there.
Jameis is the one they're really leaning toward. Everybody's calling for Jameis right now. And I'm like, if you're calling for Jameis Winston, you're desperate. Yeah. We're talking about one of the guys that led the league in interceptions.
He can throw you in and he can throw you out. Exactly. But he don't throw it.
He's going to throw something.
You can pick up Jameis Winston one week, he get you 67,000 points. You can pick him up next week, he gets you minus 67,000 points.
Yeah. All you got to do is look at his stats throughout his career. And is he a capable quarterback? I'm just saying it's week 1. I know Deshaun had a game against one of the, and I hate to say it because it's Cowboys, but it's one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
And so pump the brakes. This is a long season.
Look at this run. He can go. He goes. Yeah, at Jacksonville. It's not too. That's not too crazy. Giants. It's not too crazy.
Right,
Las Vegas. It's not too crazy. Just for the fact that I don't know if Vegas can score points, which means you'll have the ball, and you still have guys like Garrett.
Well, this is why I think that I'm not willing to panic on the Browns, but I'm more willing to panic on the Bengals, is because if their running game is not there, Deshaun Watson's likely to get he's got Jerome Ford right now playing really well, and he will play. I know nobody had a good game against the Cowboys, but they will play good.
Yeah.
And then he's got Chubb coming back eventually. He's got to be out the first 4 weeks of the season. So you get Chubb and Ford in the backfield. You've got the capability. You got Cooper, Judy. It's going to be okay for Cleveland. I know it looks bad. Yeah, and Njoku, who's out.
Dustin Hopkins is a good kicker.
Yeah, and he's out this week, but he'll be back. And so the thing with the Bengals is you don't got a solid running game right now, and you've got nobody out there. You can't tell me Zach Moss is all of a sudden going to turn it on, or Chase Brown it probably could, but there's no guarantees there. So it's, to me, the Bengals have a really high probability of being the third place team in that division.
Look at Moss's attempts last year.
Yeah.
Just towards the end, 11, 7, 1, 8, 19, 13, and 4, and you get him as your bell cow.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this is ridiculous. And people picking him up in fantasy, I'm like, all right, have fun with that.
That's a bit
it's gonna be a rough year for Bengals fans. I mean, and if the Browns do get on a run, they could be the last in the division. It really seriously could. They could go from being one of the more dominant teams to being in last place. I mean, this is contingent on Pittsburgh. Now I don't want to pump them up too much right now. Justin Fields is starting, but Russ is going to get in there. How does he play with these receivers? Well, we know the Steelers defense can win you ball games, win you low ball games. So they're going from Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, who weren't winning anything. Well,
and
Mason
Trubisky, right? Wasn't Trubisky there?
Trubisky was there. Yep. So at least two capable quarterbacks, semi-capable. Fields, I think, still just needs the right coaching. I really do think he could have been, still could be a good quarterback, but he needs to be coached up. He needs somebody in his face, and I think Tomlin is the guy to do it. But we'll see. I think that Bengals are playing with fire right now, and if they leave Kansas City 0-2, that's going to be rough.
You wonder how guys like Fields. I mean, he was good at Ohio State. Don't get me wrong. Like, how was he starting over like Stroud? You have Stroud sitting there on the bench, and then it's almost like it seems like Fields had better seasons than Stroud. Or am I mistaken? Did Stroud? Where did Stroud? No, Stroud took him to the Natty, didn't he?
Yeah.
He took him to the Natty. That's right. I did this. I think. Yeah. Okay. Now they had some quarterbacks come through there.
Yeah, they do. They reload. They do it every year. I mean, especially now that you can pay them.
Yeah. Hey, you can pay him more.
Yeah, you pay them more. You don't have to pay them.
You can pay them and people know it.
You don't have to pay them in tattoos.
Right.
Wink, wink,
right.
Nudge,
In
nudge.
Jordans and clothes and whatever else they want. Mind you, they was giving out cars in the 70s. You ever see
they were giving out cars in 2002.
Huh?
I think they were giving out cars ever since too.
Right. Remember Eric Dickerson? They gave him the gold Mustang.
Oh yeah.
I seen that documentary on it. He was like, "Man, they gave me a Mustang." They go to SMU. SMU's back too. I expect. SMU is about to be back. All that money down there in Dallas, they gonna pay for some good football. You better believe that, buddy. Yes, sir. SMU's back. That's the only thing that was holding them back because they couldn't pay. That was it. It was for lack of trying.
Screw prestige. Nobody cares about conference or team prestige anymore.
Hey, speaking of paying, I'm happy Bush got his Heisman back. He doesn't know more questions, really. Huh?
They should.
Yeah, man, because it was, especially once you started paying players, it got a little bit ridiculous. And then you had the consensus people saying he should have it.
Yeah, of course he should. It's ridiculous.
He was the best at that time. I got to watch him. Anyway, you got anything before we get out of here, man? I'm about to start watching this game, man.
You know what I've got is I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to take a long, hard look at my phone and try to decide if I want to put Jalen Wright in tonight.
I'm gonna do the same thing with Keon Coleman.
That's about it for me. So this is gonna be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. And then, like I said, it'll tell me a lot going forward. And you and I got a great matchup. Yeah, man.
I know you'll be rooting. I know you'll be Josh Allen's biggest hater tonight. I mean, you will be no short on haterade for Josh Allen. You'll be calling your son like, son, I'm really a Dolphins fan tonight.
That's right. I am tonight.
But nah, man. Rematch of the finals, rematch of the championship, man. We go back into it. It'd be great to talk about on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
That's when we'll be back, man. Got anything else before we get out of here, man?
That's it, dude.
All right, man. Go Birds. Beat the Falcons. Fly, Eagles, fly, everything. I hope we beat the crap out the Falcons, man. We need a really good put a whooping on them, man. We really need to win because the back half of our schedule was crazy.
Do you realize we're playing the whole AFC South pretty much in the first 3 weeks, except
the back half of our season is
playing
crazy.
Tampa Bay after Atlanta, and then we've got who is it? Carolina? Who is it? and we got the Saints and then Tampa Bay. The first 3 of the first 4 weeks we're playing that division. So
crazy, man.
Whatever.
All right, man. We're gonna get up out of here. See you guys on we'll be back Tuesday.
Yep.
Same time. Was it 7:00 Eastern?
Yes.
Come back and see us, man. Tell us how you did. We'll recap our game. Good luck to y'all this weekend. Gone.
Good luck.